The table will now compile the results of the vote.
Nays pour 116, 116. Nays contre 204, 204.
I declare the motion defeated.
Je déclare la motion rejetée.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Unfortunately, as you just saw there, the non-confidence vote that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives put forward to have an early election, a carbon tax election as they called it, did not go through. It got voted down in the House today, and this result has a lot of significance in it. Now, throughout the whole question period today, the Conservatives actually were doing a fair bit of attacking the Bloc and asking why the Bloc and the Liberals are working together. Now, I'm going to play you a clip, and this is going to explain a little bit more.
Mr. Carr.
Mr. Carr.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Garon.
Monsieur Garon.
Madame Michaud.
Madame Michaud.
Monsieur Villemur.
Monsieur Villemur.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Champoux.
Madame Sinclair de Gagné.
Madame Sinclair de Gagné.
Monsieur Trudel.
Monsieur Trudel.
Monsieur Savard, pardon, Monsieur Blanchet-Jonca.
Monsieur Blanchet-Jonca.
Monsieur Désilet.
Monsieur Désilet.
Mr. Julian.
Mr. Julian.
Mr. Massey.
Mr. Massey.
Miss Blaney.
Miss Blaney.
Now, what you're seeing in that clip is the Bloc also standing up with the Liberals and the NDP to vote no. Now, we all expected that the Liberals and the NDP would band together to say no on this vote, but the Bloc also sided with them, leading the Conservatives to be the only ones that had yes in this motion. Now, as I mentioned, the results of this vote are very significant because our next scheduled vote would be October of 2025, meaning we would have another year and a half of this NDP Liberal coalition government, another year and a half of this carbon tax nonsense. But this also allows 23 Liberals as well as 7 NDP members to reach the pension threshold that they need to reach. I believe they need to be in 6 years is the minimum in order to qualify for full pension. And this is significant because yesterday the Liberal NDP party put an amendment towards the Canada Elections Act in order to push the elections a week past when it's supposed to be prompted. Now, the National Post wrote on this, CBC wrote on this, even the Toronto Star wrote on this. And if we read a little bit here, it says, Liberals' elections law reforms could yield generous pensions for dozens of the MPs. Ottawa proposed a change in the election law could see the country's next federal contest pushed back by 1 week, meaning dozens of MPs could access tens of thousands of dollars in annual pension payments if Justin Trudeau's minority government lasts that long. Now, if we go over and we take a look at the Canada Elections Act, it states each general election must be held on the third Monday of October in the fourth calendar year following the polling day of the last general election, which this year would fall on October 20th. Now, the article also states this. However, if we now go to the amended bill, it says this same subsection that was in the Canada Act, right? Subsection 6.1, number 2. 6.1, number 2, election dates. Each general election must be held on the third Monday of October in the fourth calendar following year following polling day for the last general election. However, if Monday, October 20th, 2025 would be the day fixed for voting in the general election under this subsection, that general election must instead be held on Monday, October 27th, 2025. Pushing it thus to the fourth Monday, an extra week forward, granting a lot of these MPs and other members of parliament their pension. And this is actually very sneaky because they're trying to blame it on national security, strengthening our democracy, as well as Diwali, the Hindu religious festival, which starts on October 20th, lasting several days as well as the municipal elections in Alberta, which also are on October 20th. However, it states, although the Liberal government would have still been free to call an election for before that day, on the 19th. And this is actually something that they said that they were looking at proposing, doing a 3-day election starting Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
The Prime Minister, Mr. Singh, committed to expand options Canadians currently have to cast their ballots. And this bill seeks, amongst other measures, to add 2 more days of advance voting, to make the Vote on Campus program permanent, and take steps towards voting at any polling station in a voter's riding. The bill also proposes to offer dedicated on-site voting for voters living in long-term care homes and enhancements as well to the increasingly popular and accessible vote-by-mail process. It was certainly our hope. Mr. Singh and the Prime Minister very much wanted to have a 3-day voting period. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday would be the election period.
And so there you have Dominic stating that they're thinking of doing Saturday, Sunday, Monday, meaning you could do 2 days of early voting, which would have nothing to do with Diwali. But irregardless if Diwali landed on the 20th of October, what does that matter? This is the Canadian elections. This is the Canadian electoral. This is how we run our system. Why are we carving out caveats and exceptions for different holidays and festivals and all this? If you're in Canada, you are a Canadian first. You have to participate in Canadian elections. I understand you have your religious festivals, your religious views, regardless if you're Jewish, Hindu, Muslim, etc., Catholic. You have to participate in these things if you want things done. And I don't think a week-long festival is going to be affected by 1 day of going in to vote. And if they don't do the 1 day and you have 3 days, then again, it's not going to affect Diwali. But here we have the government making up any excuse it can to not have the election that 70% as of right now Canadians want held. And they're throwing in these sneaky little amendments where people aren't going to know this or check this stuff out, and then making some weird asinine excuse like Diwali. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Again, why do we care if it's Diwali or not? This is our election cycle. That's how it's been. We have an election act that explains this. On the 3rd Monday of the October, we do it. Tough nuggets. It falls on Diwali. Figure something out, I guess. If you really want to vote, if you really want to make a difference, you can carve out an hour or two to go down to wherever you need to go down to vote, and then go back to your festives. But it's just blowing my mind that there all these exceptions and caveats are being implemented in our every day-to-day life, when, as I stated in my immigration video, none of this would be relevant if we were in another country. Another country would not do any of this kind of thing. Like, if I said Canada Day fell on, say, a Hindu election, do you think they would change the electoral date to a week later or a day later because it's Canada Day? No. So again, why are we doing this? It makes absolutely no sense. But as I mentioned, we know why, because back in 2021, before the NDP created the coalition with the Liberals, articles like this were out. Dozens of MPs stand to lose access to pension if they're defeated in an early election. This was written back in 2021. Well, guess what? That's when they had that election where the NDP voted with them, which is why 4 years later, 2025, will be the next election. And as it states, more than 90 Liberal MPs, including 23 ministers, could lose access to pension in an early election. These are just a few of them. And now a few of the NDP, like Jagmeet Singh, Heather McPherson, Matthew Green, Taylor Baccarat, all of them also fall under this pension paradox in regards to if they survive this long, then they'll get their pension. And with that being said, I just hope a lot more Canadians start to wake up to this. The Liberal NDPs, I don't understand how they think they're going to get any further with the Canadian public as they keep screwing it up more and more each day. But again, this is just my opinion. Love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.